What is up, real estate leaders? Man, it has been a while since I've been live. I am so excited to be here, be back with you guys. So as you're popping in, please say hello. I'd love to chat. Say hello. And also let me know if you're joining live or if you're joining the replay, okay? And another quick change I've made, and we're gonna go right into this training right after this, but instead of asking you to join a Facebook group and to have these trainings, I'm just going to leave them right here on my main profile for you to enjoy and use. More importantly, take action on these, all right? So jumping into today's training, I'm going to give you a 3-step framework, the easiest 3-step framework that you need in order to recoup your money and maximize your investment on ads or internet leads. All right, so if you're ready to recoup, type let's go in the comments, and let's not only recoup your money, but hey, let's maximize that investment. All right, let's not just break even, but go beyond that. Okay, so the 3-step framework we are going to jump into today is number 1, you need to get that first convo. Number 2, you need to have that first convo. And number 3, you need to have frequent and consistent follow through. That's really it. Okay, now I'm going to break down the best practices and how to get the most out of each step. But when you think about it, guys, if you're creating your own system, you only need those 3 steps, okay? So before we dive in, hello, if you are new here, my name is Erica Fields. I'm a real estate agent coach and business strategist. I help agents just like you quadruple their income, triple their listings in 90 days or less, and even leave their 9-to-5s for their full-time real estate career. So again, if you are joining live or watching the replay, comment below and let me know, okay? So give you a little background of where this 3-step solution has come from, so you know I didn't just make it up or find it online somewhere. Over the last 13,000 hours that I've spent in a commission position, I had to convert internet leads in every step of the way, right? No matter what position I was, from car sales to retail, there was always internet leads or some kind of conversion that had to happen from lead to appointment, right? And at the beginning, I struggled. Okay, I wasn't just like this natural at it. I struggled. I got hung up on. I got called all kinds of names. If you've been hung up on, if you've been called names, tell us your story below. Give us a comment. Hung up on. Let us know your story, because we've all been there, okay? And I am not any different. But throughout all of those rejection and throughout all of that trial and error, I've developed this 3-step framework. Super easy. I already gave it to you. But these 3 steps are tried and true in order to convert any lead. All right. So going into it, and it's the same steps I take my clients through. All right. So you know, I'm not teaching you anything different. This is exactly the same things that my clients use in order to transform their businesses, okay? So now, at the end of this video, you can't just grab the 3 steps and bounce, all right? At the end of this video, I'm gonna tell you the common mistakes that happen that prevent people from maximizing, right? That prevent people from getting to their fullest potential here, okay? So don't just bounce once you get the 3 steps. Really, you want to understand what the common mistakes are, so that way you can avoid those, save that time, and start making some more money, right? More conversations, have less conversations in less time, and write more contracts. How about that? Okay. So let's dive into these best practices. Again, the super easy framework. Number 1, your first job is to get the first convo. All right, how do you like it? Visuals. I hope it's not backwards. Let me know, is this backwards? Can you read it clearly? It looks like it's okay, but let me know in the comments, please. So number 1, your first job is to get that first conversation. All right, nothing can happen until you have contact, right? So a couple of things we need to know about having that first conversation is, number 1, we must have a sense of urgency. You may have heard the phrase speed to lead, all right? But without that sense of urgency, it is the percentage of us actually reaching that lead drops down significantly. So if you're already trying to figure out why I'm not converting at the highest level, if it's taking you a day or taking you hours to respond to, especially an internet lead, that is going to significantly hinder your possibility of even having communication with them, okay? So your first job is to find a way to have communication with them as soon as possible. Now, of course, we want this to be a phone call, but let's be real. All right, you're busy. You're going to be at listing appointments. You're going to be at home on the couch honoring your recharge time, right? So we want to make sure that if you are not able to have a phone call, there's something in place. And this is why your CRM is so important, guys. This is why your customer relationship management system is key, all right? We have to have that CRM there because that's going to allow you to not only receive these leads usually, but it's going to help you keep this communication going with them and have that first response, okay? So type number 1, get the first convo, all right? Get the first convo. So speed to lead, build urgency. We have to have a level of urgency in order to convert these leads to, and if we aren't on it, they're going to move on to what they are doing, okay? Remember, most people are submitting internet leads during their work hours, right? They're not out of work, you know, they're coming in 9 to 5, all right? So they're at work and they may not be able to they're at work and they're not going to just sit around all day looking at houses. So you need to be able to respond to them as soon as possible and get that conversation going. So first part of getting that first conversation is speed to lead. Now, the second thing you need to know is that we know one of the hardest things to do, one of the hardest challenges we have with taking it from lead to appointment is even getting that first conversation in the first place, right? And a lot of times, this is what I see. I'll see one phone call, and then a few days later, another phone call, and then maybe a week later, a phone call, and then it kind of trickles down from there because the lead wasn't interested, okay? Our whole job, if we are looking to provide value, we have to understand that the ball's in our court. Most internet leads, most people are not excited about answering the phone call of somebody else, especially when they don't know them. Are you? Right? So we have to get inside their head and understand where they're coming from. And we have to not only be consistent and frequent with our consistent with our follow through, but we have to be frequent as well. And this means our follow through even before we make communication with them, calling, emails, text messages. What are you doing in order to have this first conversation with them? All right, you need to develop a system all around getting the first convo. And in addition to urgency, you need to ensure that you reaching out, your attempts to get that first conversation is consistent, constant, and frequent. I would say all three of those, right? Consistent, constant, and frequent follow through. All right, now there's a stat out there that most sales are made between the 6th through 12th conversation. And there's actually another stat that it takes 6 to 12 attempts to even get somebody on the phone. And that's not 6 to 12 attempts in an entire year. That's 6 to 12 attempts in a 30-day span, right? So if you're likely having a way more laid back attitude towards reaching your internet leads. And this is causing a huge decline in your conversion. So, and guys, I've made all these mistakes. A lot of these are straight out of what I used to do, and the exact same thing I see most people doing, all right? And a lot of this is a limiting belief. We are worried about bothering them, okay? Well, if we're worried about bothering them, that's actually, we are more concerned that we don't have value, all right? So if you're concerned about bothering them, I'd ask yourself, or come back and ask myself, what can I remind myself, what value am I providing here? How do I save time, energy, money, create a better experience? So those are the things that we want to have in our head whenever we're reaching out to an internet lead. It's all to provide value. And if you're not urgent and if you're not consistent, they're going to see the same, they're going to assume the same with your message. If you don't have anything to share, you're going to decline. You're not going to follow up as much. All right? But since you have a message to share and it's beneficial to them, you're going to try everything you can in order to get that conversation on the line. All right? So if you're having trouble converting internet leads, all right, look at this system that you have for yourself. What is the system you've set up for yourself to actually get that first convo? Okay? Moving on. The second point. Second step is to have the first convo. Who would have thought, right? All right, so once you have them on the phone, now we have to keep them talking. Have you ever had the problem of only getting a sentence or two, or they're being really short and really not forthcoming? And if they're willing to have a conversation with you, it's great. You're no problem. You can ace it. But if more often than not, there's some resistance there, right? You're faced with an objection up front, not quite sure how to handle it, causes more friction and more resistance. You don't want to feel pushy, so you just say, okay, well, I'll check on you in a couple of months, and nothing really happens. Give me a thumbs up if this has ever happened to you. All right? Or type in appointment in the chat, all right? Because you want more appointments. This is about appointments, okay? So having the first conversation, there are two main points I want you to remember. Two main points I want you to remember with having the first conversation, and that is your entire goal is to ask client-centered questions, and secondly, offer an appointment, because that appointment is going to be the highest level of value at that time that you can offer, likely. All right, now let's break this down a little bit. What exactly are client-centered questions? And if you've been following me for a while, client-centered questions is our way of not being a pushy salesperson, but guiding a client or a lead, a relationship through a series of questions or a process in order to help them make the best decision, right? All of our clients want to save money, time, energy, create a better experience, right? They want to save time, save money, save their energy, create a better experience for their lives, for their family. All right, so client-centered questions allow you to empower them, have a better conversation, and it allows you to not feel like a pushy salesperson. It allows them to make decisions that bring them closer to their goals. And isn't that our entire job? Isn't that our job as a real estate professional, is to help our buyers and sellers achieve their goals? So our client-centered questions allow you to do just that, okay? Now, a couple of examples for you. One example of a client-centered question is a question that guides your client or prospect to make the decision that's in their best interest or directly benefits them. Again, saves them time, money, energy, or creates a better experience, okay? So an example of this question is, hey, if there were more effective methods that allow you to save some time and money in finding a home, would you want to know more about that? All right? And if you don't know the answer, if you don't know how you can save a buyer time and money in their home search, then that's a whole nother issue, right? That's the value we were talking about. If you're worried about reaching out to somebody and you can't answer that question for yourself, you want to go back and say, okay, how do I actually provide value? All right, especially if you're looking to be a listing agent. If you're not sure how you bring money, energy, time, improve the experience, if you don't know how you're doing that, oftentimes you're going to see that reduced in your commission. They're going to ask for a lower commission. All right, so number one, these are questions that allow you to guide your client or prospect to make a decision that improves their time, money, energy, or experience. All right. A second version of a client-centered question, or a second example, is a question that helps you understand a client's specific wants, needs, or goals. Especially when we are working with internet leads, it's very easy to be more of an order taker. Right? I remember doing that a lot, especially when I was setting up their home search. Like, how many bedrooms are you looking for? How many bathrooms are you looking for? Okay, great. What price range? Oh, you know, and really that didn't give you any information, give you a bunch of what's great. I could set up a property alert, but I didn't really understand my client. I didn't really understand their motivation. I didn't understand them at a higher level. And to me, that's not being a true professional, right? To me, if there's a lack of clarity there, there's anything that I'm not sure about that relates to their home sale and their goals, I want to make sure that I figure out exactly what I need to say in order to clarify and get them there. So for example, if they tell me 3 bedrooms, great, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Oh, I have 3 kids. Before, I used to have to ask, oh, do you have kids? Right? And now this is a simple way for it to come out without asking, do you have kids? Right? It's a way to have more of a conversation and less of an interrogation. All right, so client-centered questions guide your clients to having or increasing time, money, energy, or improving their experience, or they allow you to clarify specific wants, needs, or goals. All right, tell me more about that. It's one of my favorites. So having the first conversation, those are the two, that is our first thing that we want to do. Building rapport, that's how we build rapport. Our purple elephants build rapport through asking client-centered questions just like these. And as a matter of fact, on cold calls, guys, on cold calls, we have people literally thanking us for the questions we're asking because they're not like anybody else. And it truly comes from a place of wanting to understand them and serve them at a higher level. All right, so client-centered questions. The next step is when you're having this first conversation, we need to stop handling objections. Okay, I know that goes against almost everything that you've ever heard, but handling objections is actually hurting you. Okay, so what we do instead, what I teach my clients through, there's a couple of different things. Is number one, we have what we call our SAM method. All right, summarize, approve, move. This technique allows us to get from here's an objection and we approve of that objection, make them feel good about it, and then we carry on with the conversation. We go on, we move on, and we ask another client-centered question. All right, so instead of butting heads and trying to handle this objection, we just totally bypass it until we actually need to handle objections. And that's more when we are looking to set the appointment. When we are looking to close, we'll worry about handling more objections then, or if something keeps blocking us from having a conversation. But oftentimes, what happens, just like you guys, what happens when you go into Best Buy or you go into a store and they say, oh, hi, how can I help you today? And you say, oh, no, I'm just looking, right? You give an objection right away. You right away say, no, I'm not going to buy anything. Even if you're there to buy, right? You're more often than not, you shoo them along. So we want to ensure that we realize that oftentimes when they give us an objection, they're doing the same thing. It's like a way of going, they're just putting their hands up for a second, okay? But it's okay, you've got this. Summarize, approve, move, make them feel good about what they're saying, and then move on. Ask another client-centered question that empowers them. And after a couple of questions like that, you start differentiating yourself. It's phenomenal, okay? Stop handling objections. The main thing is you need to agree with them as well. The second part, summarize, approve, okay? I'm gonna start changing it to summarize, agree. All right, if they tell you they're not interested, hey, great, you're not interested, okay? Instead of coming out with, oh, well, it's a great time to buy right now, when might you be interested? We need to understand where they're coming from. Great, I hear you're not interested. Tell me more about that. What you got going on? Tell me more about your situation. All right, more open-ended questions. So after you've had the first conversation, the last step, okay, the last system that you need to develop is to not read my script. The last step that we need them to develop is, or you need to develop, is consistent and frequent follow through. You have to have a plan for how you're gonna follow through, okay? Because when you don't have a plan, you don't follow through. And when you don't follow through, you don't get the sale. All right, again, 6 through 12 conversations needed to make 80% of your sales, okay? And if you're saying, well, Erica, a lot of my sales only happen from 1 to 2 conversations. That's likely because you're not having the 6 or 12 conversations needed in order to make those sales, or you're deleting the opportunities, right? I just had this conversation with somebody that we often swat away the opportunities before we even give it a chance. All right, we are the ones deciding whether or not a sale is going to happen before we even give that client an opportunity. So we want to make sure that we've developed a plan and a strategy to have consistent and frequent follow through. Follow through, all right? Follow up sounds like a one-time thing, and for our poor brain's sake, we want to ensure that we're telling our brains not only do we need to follow up, but we need to follow through. All right, this is going to be a continuous process. Okay, so because 80% of these sales are made between the 6 to 12 follow through, you have to have a plan to build this market share and build and maintain relationships even from scratch, right? These internet leads are from scratch, all right? And if you are not consistently showing up, all right, every single day you're not showing up, the relationship is declining, or you're getting further and further away from an opportunity with them, all right? Now, this by no means does not mean that you should stop, that you should try less when you have a lead that's not converting, okay? When you have somebody who's not answering and it's been a while, all right? Old leads are gold. Old leads are gold leads, okay? Type gold in the comments. Excuse me, guys. I have a little scratchy throat. All right, so a couple of points in this consistent and frequent follow-through. What we have for my clients is our profitable follow-through system, okay? And it consists of a series of weekly emails, quarterly phone call, and a yearly handwritten letter. All right, that's it. We have categories for each of the 4 weeks. They sit down once a month, plan out their whole follow-through. Well, that's the idea of the system, all right? And then all you have to do is worry about your phone calls. All you have to do is worry about the things you have to manually show up to do, okay? But it's not enough anymore. The one-off monthly email newsletter that's not super consistent and not really relevant to them at all, just has random stats or information, is not doing it anymore, all right? There are people showing up daily in their inboxes. Okay, so if you're not, and I'm not saying you need to show up daily, but you need to be at least consistent and relevant enough for them to start being aware of who you are. Okay, again, know, like, trust. And there's no know, like, and trust with most of the internet leads that are in your database, and that's why you're not recouping your money. Okay, so the mistakes, the common mistakes, we're going to go into the common mistakes. All right, so just to review that system one more time, guys, all you need to do, document what are you going to do to get the first convo, okay? Remember, you need to have a sense of urgency. The sooner the better that you can have this conversation with them, all right? The sooner the better you start reaching out to them. And you need to be consistent and frequent with your reaching out, with the attempts that you're taking to get this first conversation, all right? Secondly, you need to have the first conversation, okay? 2 goals here. Number 1, you build rapport with client-centered questions. It allows you to differentiate yourself, empower them, have better conversations, and set an appointment. Okay, that's the second goal of this first convo. So build rapport, set the appointment. That's how you can provide the highest level of service. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys, they're 70% more likely to go with you if you actually meet with them up front. So if I told you you're 70% more likely to win the lottery playing this ticket, you can play this ticket or that one. This ticket, okay? So set an appointment. Lastly, the third thing you need to do is have consistent and frequent follow through, okay? In order to do this, you need to be showing up at least weekly, guys. If you are not showing up and you're not building a relationship, there's a saying out there, I forget who said it, I've been reading so much lately. There's a quote out there that says, every single day you're not in front of your client or prospective client providing value, your relationship is declining. They are forgetting about you, okay? Think about it. Are you thinking about those telemarketers that called you? Heck no, they probably stopped calling you. Okay, they're new ones calling you now. Okay, so those 3 things are the 3 systems you need to document and start putting in play with those best practices, guys, okay? And it hasn't changed. Those are the things that you need to convert almost any lead. Get that first convo, have the first convo, and then frequent and consistent follow through. Now, a couple of mistakes. Number one is not using your CRM. Gosh darn it. I think I'm gonna go, that's gonna be one of those things that I never get to say, or like never get to stop saying, is we have to be using our CRMs. We have to be using our CRMs, okay? Client relationship management system. All right, if you're not using your CRM, how are you going to remember to have 6 or 12 conversations in a short amount of time? How are you going to use automation? So many of you want to automate and you want to have funnels, but you don't even have your CRM ready, okay? Get the CRM going, all right? The other common mistake is feeling like you've got communication on lock, okay? Communication is one of those things that is a lifelong skill that we have to grow each and every single day. And there are ways to communicate with people that empower them to speak with you and empower them to have a relationship with you instead of causing friction and resistance. And that's where my client-centered questions come in handy. So take an active stance, take an active role in learning communication, all right? Presentation skills. It will take us so far, not just in our careers, but in our personal lives as well. Okay, so the other common mistake is ending our follow through. All right, things happen in life. Someone might tell you they're not interested. Oftentimes, especially at the beginning of converting internet leads, when we're not quite used to converting at a high level, we will feel like we're bothering someone. We could feel like we're bothering them, or we could feel like, oh, they're not interested because they're not responding, or they said they're not interested. But we haven't had the opportunity to truly build rapport with them, right? To where they feel like they can tell us the truth. Okay, so if we don't give them the opportunity to build that know, like, and trust factor with them, by ending our follow through, right, we are significantly declining or holding back our conversion rate. We're not allowing ourselves to maximize it. And the other thing to keep in mind is not only are we usually saying, oh, they're not interested based off of, perception and a few phone calls and really just surface level questions. But the other thing to keep in mind, if we end our follow through, we're not going to miss any of the situations that might pop up randomly in their lives. Okay, people usually aren't planning on getting a divorce. Okay, or sometimes they know about it and that's why they're not taking action. But divorce happens, illness happens, promotions happen, right? Kids move out, kids move back in, parents move in. Right? There's all kinds of situations that happen in people's lives where they were 100% dead set, they're not moving, but now all of a sudden they have a reason, right? A situation has popped up and they now need to take action and they need to move forward. If you stop following up with them based on their previous status, maybe they weren't interested before, if you stop following up with them, now you're not going to get that business. All right. And again, guys, a lot of this can be when you have a CRM, it can be automated. You sit down, do it, plan it for an hour, get it done with, right? Other than your phone calls. So they say they're not interested. Don't give up your follow-up. The other huge mistake is not making the actual phone calls. We have this belief, we have this misconception, but if you actually look at the NAR profile of home buyers and sellers, there's actually just as high of a percentage of people who want a phone call as much as a text. Okay, they want communication. Now, why would anybody want a phone call about this information over a text? Clarity. They want efficiency. They want to be able to ask their questions and you provide a clear, concise answer. Okay, it's so much harder to do that over a text message. Okay, so not making those phone calls is a big mistake when you are looking to build rapport and maximize your conversion. Okay, and the last common mistake okay, is staying in a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. All right, converting internet leads is a journey, right? It is a lifelong learning. It is a lifelong skill that we will forever have to perfect and forever have to craft, okay? So we want to ensure that we are looking at this with a fixed mindset versus we want to look at this as a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset, okay? So guys, let me know what was the most helpful for you. What other challenges are you having? I'd like to be more specific with the objections that you're getting and provide you guidance based off of what you're actually seeing, okay? So just a reminder, guys, get that first convo, have that first convo, then have a plan for consistent and frequent follow through. Those are the 3 systems you need to convert internet leads, recoup your money, and maximize your investment. So if you are ready to invest in your success and you want a coach and you want to see if we are a good fit, guys, comment purple below and we will make sure that you get a call to see if we are a good fit. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining and we'll see you later.